First level of learning. Paper 5. The misconception of the ascension process and the nature of channeling. By Wes Penry. Friday, February 18th, 2011. 1. The Ascension Fraud. It may feel like the rug is being swept away underneath the feet of those who believe in ascended masters, who will come and save us, and ascension processes that just happen out of the blue. I don't want to put the whole New Age movement under one big umbrella, but we need to realize the sooner, the better, that there will be no sudden shift of consciousness that is magically going to lift those who are enlightened to the 4th or 5th dimensions. There are no ascended masters who will come down and call upon those who are worthy to ascend. I am not saying that there are no ascended masters, but if they are worthy of their title, they are not going to interfere with our development as individuals or as a species. If someone is landing in big spaceships saying they are here to save you, run the other way. The ascended masters whom some people channel are not working in humanity's favor, so buyers beware. Those who show themselves off as either gods or superior beings are frauds or saying they are someone whom they are not. There is a checklist you can use if you're into channeled material and trying to discern who is who, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And we are getting to that soon. The same thing. If you tune into the love and light movement, where they say that if you see and hear no evil, there will be no evil. In a sense, that is true, because we create our own reality. But we are also interacting with other people and with different organizations every day. And the sequence is that light comes before love. Light is information, and unconditional love is God or source in its pure essence. Therefore, we need the knowledge before we can understand what to do with it. Another thing to beware of are those channelers who say that the global elites has the power and you have to fight them. Again, run. There's not much of a difference between Christians who think that there will be a rapture, those who are born again will be beamed up by God, while the more unfortunate, who may be great people but are not baptized, will be left to burn in the eternal fire, and the New Age movement where they say that you will be beamed up to paradise in the 4th and 5th dimensions. So, am I saying that there is no ascension? No. There will be an ascension. But although the ascension process is a natural thing which happens in cycles, it doesn't come for free. We need to know the dynamics of the process, and we also need to be aware of what is happening in our own reality before we can go to the next. In other words, we have to know what we're doing. Too many people are just reading and listening to channeled material and other metaphysical information, feeling good about it, and then go on with their lives like if nothing has happened, certain of that now when you know. The ascension will come automatically because they know more than other people. This will not do much for a person's ascension other than that they have some valuable information. The secret to real ascension is to learn about life and then live what we learn. Anyone can listen and read, but it requires some courage to change your ways and start walking the talk. Still, when push comes to shove, the real thing is so much better and more exciting than the delusion. In the next subsection, I want to bring up the concept of channeling and some valuable leads, how to discern helpful material from not so helpful. I have personally listened to quite a few sources and read more than a few books on the subject, and after a while it becomes clearer what is good channeling and what's not. We humans have lived generation after generation in fear. There has always been this invisible authority present, which we can't really pinpoint down, controlling our lives, belief systems, and thinking in general. Those who speak up are usually, in one way or another, made examples of. This induces fear in others who want to, but then dare not speak their truth. Although times are slightly different now, and we are freer and can get away with more, this old embedded fear is still lingering in people's subconscious. If I speak up, I will lose my job. If I tell them what I believe, they will think I'm crazy and stop talking to me. What will my family say? We all recognize these thoughts, but they are all based on fear. It's easier to be quiet and not speak up, but still, if we don't, we will not evolve and we will not help others see a bigger picture, whether it has to do with our job or spiritual beliefs. The same cabal is still in charge after thousands of years of overt and covert tyranny. But although we sometimes don't want to admit it, we are allowed more freedom here in the United States than we have perhaps ever been. This is not because the powers that be, PTB, have become friendlier, but perhaps more arrogant. The internet has helped humans to connect all over the globe in a way that has not been possible before, at least not since Atlantis. And there is, of course, little the powers that be can do to stop that, other than turning on the kill switch and shut down the internet. In China, certain websites are not accessible due to strict censorship, but here in the West, we're pretty much free to communicate whatever we want. However, this is not a coincidence. People are asking why the internet was invented and invested in the first place, when the powers that be certainly could predict that free communication would happen. The answer is that they had no choice. The internet is not for our convenience and not for the cabals either. They're just puppets and are following orders. Orders from whom? Well, as we shall see, there are dimensional and even more so interdimensional beings who are controlling the powers that be, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the Bushes, and others. They were the ones who wanted the internet to develop. If they are to take global control over the human population, they need a global network. Have you asked yourself why they are speeding up internet connections over and over again? We already have really fast internet available to us. Why even faster? Again, this global network is primarily meant for the ETs to control us, not for humans to chat with each other. Then, of course, the internet can be used by people like me and others to communicate our truth for free without having to go through book publishers, promotion, and people having to buy my stuff. If I have something to communicate, I can put it out here and thousands of people can read it. So it works both ways. In the long run, all our goal as spiritual beings is to return back to Source, the Prime Creator. People in the spiritual movement believe that this is our next step on the to-do list. It is my conviction that this is not the case, though. We are here to learn and experience, and we do this as separate spirits who are still connected with Source on a subquantum level. But when we're done here, we just go to the next level of learning on a higher vibration. There may be a time when we can choose whether we want to go back and merge with Source and complete our experience, or continue exploring, but that time is not yet, as I see it. Our immediate goal is to further develop our infinite potentials and not become, but realize that we already are multidimensional, and this is quite a different ballgame altogether. The truth of the matter is that we already are multidimensional, but we don't know it and thus don't use our potentials. So where would we go? If we are all one, and we are all ultimately connected on a subquantum level, where can we go except inside ourselves, into the quantum and subquantum parts of ourselves? See our connection to everything around us, and transfer that from the microcosmos to the macrocosmos? Our bodies are originally made to be multidimensional. We already have the bodies we need, and we need to stay in them, not leave them. Therefore, we want to stay grounded and not reach for some lofty God's palace in the sky. We should feel gratitude for having a body. Our physical body is our temple. Even the Bible says so. It's because of our body, not by abandoning it, that we can become multidimensional. 2. How channeling really works. I would say that most channeled material is a confusing mixed bag of truths, half-truths, and lies. However, I believe they are channeled entities doing their best to assist us to the best of their abilities, but they are limited as well as we are in predicting exactly what is going to happen in the future. The way channeling works in general is that the entities who temporarily possess a human body, often called a vehicle, read the consciousness of that vehicle and at the same time tune into the mass consciousness of the entire population of the whole planet. They hook up to the planetary matrix, i.e., everything on the planet itself as a semi-conscious being. They also have access to the Akashic records of the whole human race, and they have their own mass consciousness and that of the multiverse to draw information and knowledge from. Some of them are also from our future and past, so they may have quite a lot of information from their own memories to draw from. By having their multidimensional perspective, these entities can answer our questions with a high rate of accuracy. But the cons are that when they look into the future, things become slippery. Any and all beings on the planet, although to some degree predictable, make decisions every second of their lives, and these decisions create an outcome. If we then combine the decisions of nearly 7 billion people, the mutual outcome for the human race and everything we affect is quite unpredictable. Thus, it's very hard for these entities to tell the future of the mass consciousness. It's always easier to tell what will happen in a day or a week because less thoughts and decisions are made within this short time span than it would be to predict what will happen in a year or longer. We then need to include all the timelines involved. All these entities can do is to read the present consciousness of the planetary timeline at which they have entered, predict how the human consciousness will react, and act in the future, still based on the time in which they operate, and get a probable picture of the future. However, any channeled entities worth your while will tell you that this is a very slippery business, and it's preferable not to try to predict things too precisely. When taking part of channeled material, we must consider the agenda of the channeled entity or group consciousness. They can tell us things they want us to know and at the same time exclude what they don't want you to know. In addition, different entities have different levels of awareness, and just like with us humans, some may be truthful while others lie to push forward their own agenda. We will discuss this problem in other papers as well. It is always a struggle to lay a puzzle that is multidimensional, and we have to accept that we are just in the beginning of learning things. Whatever conclusions we come to today will be subject to future editing. What holds true today may be old paradigm tomorrow in the fluid and ever-changing multiverse. Another thing that is very important to consider is if the channeled entities are giving your power away or not. Only if the information is uplifting and can bring you to a new level of experience is it worth your time. And if they tell you to give your power to someone else, other than yourself, ascended masters or whomever, same thing. Close the book, turn off the CD, and start looking elsewhere for valuable material. A typical example of quality channeling, which falls into many of the categories above, is, in my opinion, the Pleiadians, channeled by Barbara Marciniak. In this case, their agenda is known and openly discussed by the entities, and they have been consistently assisting mankind for 23 years as of this writing without contradicting themselves. Their information is uplifting and educating, and when it's more on the serious side, it always leads to a solution on the other end. Being open that they do have a personal agenda and what it is a positive thing in itself. Now we know what they want and how they want it, and it's up to us to agree with them or not. We can choose to be part of their agenda and see how it can benefit us, or we can opt out and choose another direction. According to the Pleiadians, they are us in the future, but also our ancestors. They were part of the genetic engineering of humankind in the ancient past and are now stuck in a future timeline which is not very pleasant to live in. They are directly connected to the events happening here on Earth in this nanosecond. See section 1.3 below. And they want us to make more conscious decisions than they did when they were here at this particular time on their timeline. They chose a machine world before a more simplistic conscious reality closer to nature, and their agenda is to change their own timeline so that the nightmare they are living in now, our future, can change as well. They are refugees from different star systems, beings who have come together as a collective to contact us and educate us on what is ahead. They say we have free will to do whatever we want, but they are hoping that by teaching us, we will make more conscious decisions than they did in their past. If their agenda is successful, it could potentially mean that they cease to exist in their reality while we will thrive in ours. But they are willing to take that chance of creating their own extinction. The alternative, they say, is that if we choose the same route as they did, it's a good chance we will end up where they are. 3. The nanosecond and the importance of staying grounded in our bodies. An interesting thing the Pleiadians talk about is the nanosecond, which is their name of the time period between 1987 and 2012. That's when the energies on this planet are increasing exponentially, partly due to that we are aligning with the galactic center, an event that is already happening, but is culminating on winter solstice 2012. This is the major reasoning for the mass awakening, but also for the suppression of the same by those in power who want us to stay asleep and ignorant of our true selves. These suppressive forces are both humans in apparent power on this planet and beings from elsewhere. I think most of you who read this paper agree that more and more people around the globe are waking up, also to the fact that there is a hidden hand pulling the strings of mankind from behind the scenes. Things are not exactly the way we're told they are by governments, mass media, and so-called authorities. The awakening has happened pretty quickly within a relatively short time frame, and many of us are certainly not the same person we were 25 years ago, or perhaps even 2 years ago. Many are getting the feeling that time is speeding up, sometimes to an extent that it's hard to catch up and stay updated with what is going on around us or inside of us. Historically speaking, this is a new phenomenon in modern time. To some degree, the internet has contributed to the mass awakening because we have been able to connect with each other on a global scale to share our viewpoints and our thoughts. But this is not the whole answer. If we weren't ready to wake up from our spiritual slumber, the internet wouldn't have done the trick. There is still a lot to do before enough humans have woken up to make a radical change in paradigms, but we are quickly heading in that direction. The Pleiadian time frame, 1987 to 2012, feels pretty accurate to me when we realize that the mass awakening has happened more or less within the last 25 years. They say we have this small time window when there are intense energies hitting Earth from the cosmos, mostly on the gamma ray level, which heavily affect our bodies and our minds. Energy is not only something which supports basic life, but also energy on a quantum level as encoded information, and it is this information which is triggering our dormant DNA, connecting us with the multiverse. Our own sun, which is also connected with and affected by the womb of the mother, the giant sun or huge collection of suns in the galactic center, is more intense than normal and is directly affecting us and our mass consciousness here on Earth. Therefore, it is very important that we always stay grounded and in our bodies, especially now while this process is so intense. All the information from Cosmos that we download during this time will help us tremendously after 2012 when the energies slowly go back to a more normal level, and time as we perceive it will gradually slow down again. So we need to be very mindful right now and work on connection with these energies, or it will be so much harder afterwards. This boost of energy, which we are currently experiencing, is a free ride. If we are receptive, ready, and willing to take it all in, and when the nanosecond has passed, we have time to process what we have gathered. This makes it so much more important to follow our heart and our instincts, intuition, and trust what we feel. We are living in times where we will find the intellect being useful, but also quite limited. These are not the times where the logical mind can figure things out on its own. It needs big help from the heart chakra. Not until we have opened our hearts and started feeling can we more accurately analyze what is going on and how to proceed. Mulder was wrong when he said that the answers are out there, and that's why he never found them. The answers are within, and that's where we need to start looking.